it is one of the central mysteries surrounding Donald Trump. What is in those tax returns?
And why is he hiding them?
So do you think the American people have a right to know what's in those tax forms?
No, I don't.
To be clear, you believe Democrats will never see the president's tax returns?
Oh, no, never.
But here it is. Wait a minute, Mr. Stolman, here it is. Because President Trump has refused to divest his businesses and he has refused to release his tax returns, that does indeed make him more vulnerable to deeper scrutiny, does it not?
He was told to divest
it does, but there's no obligation for
chairman.
him to produce those. That's my point, and the Supreme Court's going to review it if he ends up fighting this. If Trump ends up fighting this, it'll go to the district court, the Supreme Court will review it, and you have to have a legitimate purpose, not just a fishing expedition.
Do you know what the president's hiding?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Do you know what he's hiding? I mean, he doesn't want anybody to see him, certainly not Congress.
I don't think he's hiding anything, but
okay, so you don't know.
Even though the information appeared quite favorable to him, President Trump was today professing outrage over the leak of his 2005 tax return in an interview to air on Tucker Carlson tonight.
I have no idea where they got it, but it's illegal, and you're not supposed to have it, and it's not supposed to be leaked. And it's certainly not an embarrassing tax return at all, but it's an illegal thing. They've been doing it. They've done it before, and I think it's a disgrace.
The argument the White House is making is that it's a fishing expedition, that the only reason Democrats are after this is to embarrass the president, and therefore there's no legitimate legislative purpose associated with it, so therefore no.
Okay, so you are one of the few people that has seen these tax returns. I know you're under court order not to reveal some of the details of what you've seen, but what can you tell us as to what's inside these returns? What is the president trying to hide?
Well, he clearly is trying to hide a number of things. I think, his business has never been as robust or as profitable, and the wealth that he's generated out of that business, as he said it has. He's never been as generous a philanthropist as he had said he was.
We started looking at Trump's charitable foundation back in 2016 during the presidential campaign, and what we found basically by looking through old charity records, by calling people that had gotten money from Trump's foundation, was that he had tended to treat the foundation, which by law is an independent entity with its own board of directors, its own goals, its own money, it's separate from him. He had tended to treat it as just a checkbook for himself. The Attorney General is not only suing Donald Trump, who was the president of this foundation since the beginning, she's also suing Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Ivanka Trump, the three eldest children of President Trump, because they were, in theory, they were officers of this charity. And their job is to make sure that the guy who runs the charity, their father, isn't misusing it and spending it in ways that benefited himself. And it turned out they were, at least according to the New York Attorney General, they weren't doing that job at all. President Trump has agreed to shut down his charitable foundation, the Donald J. Trump Foundation. This is one of the three things the New York AG demanded of Trump when she filed the lawsuit against him back in June. She asked for Trump to pay fines and restitution. She asked for Trump to be banned from serving on the board of any New York State charity for a period of 10 years. And also she asked for the foundation to be shut down. This was sort of the easiest one of those three to resolve.
New York State prosecutors have reportedly subpoenaed the Trump Organization looking for information related to the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. According to the New York Times, the Manhattan District Attorney is reviving an investigation into those payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign, looking specifically at if senior executives at the company filed false business records about the hush money payment, which would be a state crime.
I also think the tax returns are going to have a fairly limited amount of information as well. It's not going to be...
Why?
Well, because Neil's only asked for 6 years. He's looking for a period 2013-ish, I think, to the present, 2012 to the present. I don't think those are the years that are going to be consequential if you want to understand all of the financial relationships that Trump had prior to becoming president and those that may be compromising.
I've known Harvey Weinstein for a long time. I'm not at all surprised to see it.
I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI.
A brand new report from the New York Times offering one of the most detailed looks we have had at Donald Trump's finances during a decade-long portion of his career. The Times has obtained some of the president's tax information from his federal tax form. The 1040 for the years 1985 to 1994 represents the fullest and most detailed look to date at the president's taxes, information he has kept from public view. Times notes that the information does not cover the tax years Congress is now seeking. His core business losses in 1990 and 1991, more than $250 million each year, were more than double those of the nearest taxpayers in the IRS information for those years.
I remember once my father and I were walking down Fifth Avenue, and there was a homeless person sitting right outside of Trump Tower. And I think I was probably maybe 9, 10, something like this. It was around the same time as the divorce. And I remember my father pointing to him and saying, you know, that guy has $8 billion more than me, because he was in such extreme debt at that point, you know? And me thinking, what are you talking about? He was sitting outside of Trump Tower, and I'm looking and I'm going, you know, and I didn't understand, and I think I just thought about it maybe like a year or two ago, and I found it interesting.
When you borrow as much money as Donald Trump did, nearly $2 billion, and the economy goes into a tailspin and you can't pay the interest on your loans, the bankers move in, and they have. Here's what's in the works. Donald's $100 million yacht goes to the Boston Safe Deposit and Trust Company. His half interest in the Grand Hyatt Hotel goes to Bankers Trust. His interest in Alexander's department store goes to Citicorp. His Trump shuttle goes to Northwest Airlines. What Donald Trump gets is a chance to start over. He probably won't have to declare bankruptcy. On the boardwalk in Atlantic City, he keeps his casinos. In New York, he keeps the Plaza Hotel, which he hopes to convert into condominiums. He keeps the old Pennsylvania railroad yards. He wants to turn them into a real estate development. What he doesn't keep is Ivana. She divorced him and got $14 million. If Donald wasn't so badly in hock, she might have gotten $2.5 billion. Donald is trying to put a good face on all this. I wasn't free to wheel and deal during my divorce, he says. Now I'm able to do what I do best. But a lot of people think Donald has had his day, that his game of Monopoly is almost over.
Yet, a tape in the NBC archives of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention.
Donald! Donald! Donald!
The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opened the resort as a club, shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle for an appearance on Faith Daniels' NBC talk show.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests, among them the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in, go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances, Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But as the president says now, he never liked Epstein.
I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his.
You know, there's some sort of pride in the fact that people would even take an interest in me just because I'm a part of them.
Looks like a big fan of Epstein.
I feel like I saw Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe that's the reported recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein, and I thought she was in the background there. Again, here's what Donald Trump said to New York Magazine about Epstein in 2002. "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life."
I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI.
The FBI raid on the mansion uncovered sex toys, a life-size female doll hanging from a chandelier, and hundreds of lewd photos. Bill Cosby, who is now serving 3 to 10 years in prison for sexual assault, used to live in a townhouse directly opposite the mansion. These are pages from Epstein's Little Black Book. They were first obtained by the website Gawker. They show numerous entries for the rich and famous: Donald Trump, actor Alec Baldwin, and singer Courtney Love. Page after page are headlined Massage Paris, Massage UK, Massage Florida. Below the cities, a list of first names with contact numbers. There are 21 email addresses and contact numbers in the book for former President Bill Clinton.
I'd noticed people treating me differently because my parents had money. So that even, one more step removed. So I never really understood that.
Britain's Prince Andrew speaking out for the first time today to deny accusations that he had sex with an underage girl, allegedly being kept as a sex slave. That young woman also claims she was forced to have sex with high-profile defense attorney and Miami Beach resident Alan Dershowitz.
I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
you are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
And then it gets violent.
Well, the minute he went like this, I preceded him into the dressing room. The minute he closed that door, I was banged up against the wall.
He slammed you against the wall.
Yeah, I hit my head really hard. Boom.
I think it's a pretty inappropriate question to ask a daughter if she believes the accusers of her father when he's affirmatively stated that there's no truth to it. I don't think that's a question you would ask.
I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kidding. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
Donald, do you ever discuss sex with your daughter?
No.
You do not?
No.
You've never sat
And I
down?
have a feeling we're not going to hear.
Yeah, no.
We want to know a little bit more about you guys, so we play this game here. It's called Fave 5. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also. Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
I know, isn't that terrible?
Yeah. Well, you're known for saying outrageous things, Mr. Trump.
Did he ever compare you to any of his kids?
He's very proud of Ivanka, as he should be. I mean, she's a brilliant woman. She's beautiful. She's, that's his daughter, and he should be proud of her. He said I was beautiful like her, and, you're a smart girl, and there wasn't a lot of comparing, but there was some, yeah. I heard a lot about her. Yeah.
Anyhow, let's move along. In the wake of Friday's tape release, Trump has come under intense scrutiny about his treatment of women. And according to BuzzFeed, 4 women who competed in the 1997 Miss Teen USA beauty pageant that Donald Trump owned Donald Trump walked into the dressing room while contestants were changing, some as young as 15 years old. Trump described an eerily similar scenario to Howard Stern back in 2005.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. Right, I want to make sure that
you're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that. But
let's go back to Ivanka.
Thanks, Eddie. I can guarantee my brothers were loving that. Are any of you up there single?